Hello there. Welcome to the first video in a series of wet shaving basics. Today I want to talk about DE shaving technique. And the first thing I want to talk about, I believe, is probably the most important part of technique, and that is pressure, or more specifically, a lack of pressure. The cartridge razors that we were used to shaving with before we moved to a DE, or in my case before I came back to a DE, because I started with one when I was 13 or 14. Those razors are designed to the very best extent possible not cut you. But the trade-off for that is that you need to use a little bit of pressure. And when I say a little bit relative to that razor with a DE, if you use the same kind of pressure that you're using or used to using with a cartridge razor, that's way too much pressure. You're going to jack your face up. But those razors, the cartridge razors, were meant and designed in that way, and so we're used to using a lot of pressure relatively with those razors. But when you move to a DE razor, you need to understand that the DE blades that you use are extremely sharp. Even a Derby, one of the blades that a lot of people say aren't very good at all, is a very sharp razor. It's a very sharp razor blade, and you do not need a lot of pressure, hardly any at all, to shave with a DE razor. Okay, there used to be an old saying, and I'm bringing it back: shave the lather and not your face. And what that means is that you use just enough pressure to keep the razor on your cheek, on your skin, not skipping and jumping, because if you use so light a pressure that the razor skips and jumps, you'll get nicks and cuts as well. But you use a very, very light pressure, basically just enough pressure that if you pass the razor over your face, it will remove the lather cleanly. And if you do that, you don't have to worry about whether or not it's going to cut your hair, because if you get the angle right, it will cut your beard, no problem. You don't need pressure. Pressure is the enemy of good DE razor technique. Okay, so now, the second part of DE technique that is very important is blade angle. And I want to talk to about that a little bit, the shaving angle that you hold the razor at. If you look, I've got several different DE razors here. This is an old type. It's an open comb razor. If you look, you see the shape of that head? Okay, well, this is a Mueller R41. It's a modern razor. You see the thickness. You see the difference between the thickness and the curvature of that head versus the thickness and the curvature of this head. And that doesn't even mention the blade gap, which is how far the blade extends out of the top cap and how far away from the bar or the teeth of the razor the blade sits up above. Okay, that will make a difference in not only aggression, but it will make a difference at which the angle of the blade, the razor, is held when you shave. Same thing with these. Because the shape of the head and the blade gap and the blade extension on the razor makes so much difference in how the razor cuts. The angle that you have to hold that razor at on your face is different. Again, with the cartridge razors, it had a little pivot, and it was designed so that you could basically shave in your sleep. You have to excuse me, the allergies, the pollen count is incredibly high here, and my allergies are pretty much crushing me. But so you're gonna maybe hear some snorting going on and some nose rubbing and all that kind of stuff. But so it's gonna be different with every razor. And angle is important, because what you want is you want the exact right angle that you don't have to use a lot of pressure with, that will cut your beard, but you don't want the angle so steep. And when I say steep, a lot of people, you know, you don't want that blade really steep, because you're going to be scraping your face instead of shaving your beard, and that's going to cause a lot of irritation. It's literally going to exfoliate the living crap out of the skin on your face. And if you make 3 passes with that, or 2 passes, you know, that increases your chances of irritation and problems. Also, if you get the wrong angle when you start going around the chin and things like that, your chin the razor is going to grab. You have more of a chance of nicking yourself and things like that. One of the other things about angle is that the angle that I hold that here on my cheek, that's going to change a bit down here, because when I roll over this curvature of my face, I have to adjust that angle to keep it proper at the right angle in the hollows of my cheek, in the curvature of my cheekbone, all of that. Okay, so understanding the angle that you need to have and keep, and learning how to keep that angle over the contours of your face, is basic shaving technique. And it will make the difference between whether or not you've had a good shave or not. It doesn't matter what kind of pre-shave stuff you do, or what kind of soap you've got, or what kind of post-shave you've got, what kind of razor you got, how sharp your blade is, or anything like that. If you don't have the fundamental techniques of pressure and angle properly, if you don't employ that properly, you're going to jack up your face. And that's why a lot of guys, they get really good clean shaves and they don't get any nicks or cuts, and they think, well, I've got good technique and you know, I'm getting a lot of irritation. Well, you probably got good angle, and that's why you're not getting a lot of nicks and stuff, but you're probably applying too much pressure, and that's why when you throw an alcohol-based splash on your face goes on fire. Okay? Or that's why, like, an hour or two after you shave, you're scratching and you're itching like crazy, or your face is burning. You know, if you go to work and you start to work hard and you sweat in your face, or your neck starts to burn, that's irritation from the DE razor blade, because you've used wrong technique. You probably used too much pressure, or a slightly steeper angle, something like that. You got away with it, but your technique is showing itself to not be the best because you've got so much irritation. Now, I always get a tiny bit of irritation with anything but a straight razor. That's pretty much par for the course. I think the straight razor is the best shave you'll ever have, but DEs there's nothing wrong with a DE razor. I shave with them, and they provide a lovely shave, and you have to learn the technique on them just like you do with a straight razor. And that is part of wet shaving, is we want to go from the razors that we use, to cartridge razors and stuff that don't require any skill, to something where my hand holding this razor decides for me how well I get of a shave. Okay, so how do we find angle? Well, I want to look at a couple of different razors. I've got blades in 2 of these razors. This is a modern Mula R41. It's a modern 3-piece razor, and this is a vintage black-handled Super Speed, which is a twist to open adjustable type razor. And the angle on this razor will change a little bit if I adjust it to be more or less aggressive. That's something to think of too. But when you look at this, okay, the difference in the shape of these blades, or these razors, the difference in the angle, the blade gap, all of that, the angle of the head and all of that is going to make a difference in the angle at which you hold this razor. Now, some of it is subtle, but if I place the razor, okay, there's the angle that I'm going to shave at with that. Alright? If I place this razor, right there's the angle. I don't know if you can tell a difference, but there's a significant difference between those two angles. So, how do you determine what the proper angle is for shaving with any razor that you've got? Okay. What you do, you take your razor, and this one doesn't have a blade in it, but it doesn't matter. This is just a demonstration. You see this top cap, the top of this cap? You want to place that flat on your cheek like this, and then drop the razor until you feel the blade contact your cheek. That is the proper angle to shave with that razor. Nothing more shallow and nothing more steep. And so you find that angle and you shave with that angle with no pressure, very little pressure, just enough pressure to keep the razor in touch with your face. And then when you go, and this is something you must learn, when you go over this angle, okay, I can't keep the razor like that, it'll stop cutting. When I hit this hollow, it'll stop cutting. So I'm gonna have to see how this hand is subtly moving, is subtly lowering. I'm gonna have to drop. When I get into this hollow, I'm gonna have to pick it back up a little. You understand what I'm saying? Shaving with a DE razor requires skill. It's an art. And so the fundamentals of DE razor shaving is learning the angle at which you have to shave with whichever particular razor it is that you're using. And what I would say to you, you see, this is just a few of the DE razors that I own. Okay, I have several different types of DE razors. I have no problem beginning to shave with that razor and finding that angle immediately. Okay, I don't have to do this and drop it down anymore because I've learned to feel what the proper angle is over the years. So I'll put that razor to my face and begin to shave, and if it's too steep, I'll lift my hand, and if it's too shallow, I'll drop it a bit. And it's instinctive to me now because I've done it for a long time. But now, when you first start out, you need to pay attention to getting that proper angle and watching your pressure. That is what technique is for a DE razor or any other razor. Even if we're talking about a straight razor, there's an angle that that razor must be at in order to shave the most efficiently. Even like, okay, this contour here, if I come along this jaw, I still got to keep the right angle relative to the contour of my face. So the thing of it is, when you think about DE technique, shaving technique, it's two things, basically. Now there are, you can make angled strokes, and some people do like a sliding stroke. I don't do that, although I can. The thing of it is when you do like sliding strokes, those are like tricks that you can use kind of to get to certain areas of your face because of the contours. They're different from everyone else's. That people use. But the thing of it is with a slide like that, it's very easy just to go like that by accident. And if you place this razor up against the cheek of your face and you find the right angle and you go like that, you're going to cut yourself open. So, but those are advanced techniques that, like I said, I don't employ. I just find a way to either stretch my skin. Yes, with a straight razor, you need to stretch your skin and pull it up so that you kind of flatten the areas out a little bit and pull the hairs up, in difficult places so you can cut them more cleanly. A DE razor A safety razor has this little bar or these little teeth, and what it basically does is when you shave, it kind of pulls the skin for you. Okay, but I have found that stretching my skin like I would with a straight razor, particularly in these areas here, gives me a better shave even with a DE razor. Razor technique, basic razor technique is pressure, a control of pressure, as light as you can get away with, and still keep the razor on your face. If your blade's sharp, it'll cut your beard no problem. And the proper angle over the entirety of the contours of your face. And you must learn that and employ it to get a proper shave. And the thing of it is as you shave more and more, it'll become more instinctive, but you always need to kind of go back and revisit, because a lot of times we will get lax and lazy and we're not thinking about that angle. When I shave with a razor, it doesn't matter what kind it is or how long it is that I've been shaving, 99 times out of 100, and every now and then I'll catch myself being lazy too. Okay, but 99 times out of 100, I am paying attention to the way that edge feels on my face, the way the angle feels, how much pressure I'm using, that kind of deal. I'm not off in la-la land somewhere, not thinking about, even when I'm doing a video and I'm talking to you, I promise you, I'm concentrating on the proper angle and the proper amount of pressure, because that makes the difference. Too much pressure or too steep of an angle will cause irritation, and it will cause nicks and cuts and all kinds of things that you don't want in a shave. So the basics of DE shaving, or any other shaving for that matter, is pressure and angle. Concentrate on those. Learn them and get them ingrained into your muscle memory. Practice paying particular attention to how you're moving the razor across your face, what the angle is, what the pressure is, how all of that feels, so that it becomes a part of you and you automatically go there during the shave. So, alright, I hope that this has helped. Bless you. Later.